Just get convinced. Hello my beautiful schnookies, we are on our unit number 5, political debates and negotiations, and especially the first part of this unit is ludicrous. I mean, we are going to find out so much about debates and how to actually make them successful for ourselves if we ever find ourselves in this particular situation. But we want to start off our Unit 5 with our Chapter 9, and it kind of just goes into the history of debates, especially in South Africa. I've mentioned to you before that South Africa doesn't have a very strong showing when it comes to debates or televised debates in the political sphere. That doesn't mean that there was nothing going on, and probably one of the first noteworthy televised debates in the political sphere happened in 1988. And you can see on my slide it was actually considered a landmark for de Klerk and Treunicht to actually have a vis-a-vis meeting. It was certainly noteworthy that two political leaders exposed themselves in this fashion on television, because you know a lot of things can go wrong in a debate setting. This is not the oratory setting. The oratory setting, you have the stage and nobody gets in on your act. Whereas when it comes to debates, a lot of things can go wrong, as we will still find out. In terms of debates, we need to understand that we have the political debates, which are somewhat different from your traditional or educational debates. I'm sure you have seen movies like The Great Debater, or maybe you've even been in a debate club during your school career, and then you will obviously know that the traditional or educational debate has to do with you really finding out about a particular issue, you're trying to reason surrounding that issue, and you're trying to confront your opponent with your arguments, and obviously you are hoping that your proposition will gain the audience's favor. Political debates are different. Confrontation, for sure, but when it comes to the discussion of your arguments, the development of your arguments, in political campaigns, it's pretty impossible to properly unfold what you want to talk about. And that's why people look at political debates with a bit of cynicism, with a bit of negativity, because they really are saying, what's the use? Nothing gets actually done. So it seems to be that in the political sphere, debates are there for the show, as a pseudo-event, a prepared event where we can showcase the candidates, but in terms of a political decision-making process or in terms of getting things done, nah, guys, not there. But let's have a quick look back in our history. From the time that Treunicht and de Klerk actually went head-to-head, there was a little bit of traction, there was a little bit of momentum in the political debate sphere in South Africa, and they started to have telepolations and audio polations, which were mini debates about 20 minutes long about certain issues. These were showcased, as the word actually says, on television as well as broadcasted on the radio. Most of the political debates, and these ones included, follow a topical order where you're moving from one topic to the next, which again is very contradictory to the traditional kind of debates which focus on only one topic. Now that South Africa started to develop a liking towards these debates, they actually also took note of some of the guidelines that were pronounced for debating candidates. Some of them you already know about. Having a sense of humor goes a long way. Remember, you are really actually only there to entertain your audience and not so much anything else. Having said that, debating candidates should always pick up the audience's needs and the audience's values, and definitely not the ones from the opponent. Non-verbally, as we will dive into very, very in detail, you have to look the part. Also, paralanguage-wise, you need to strike a certain tone. Your gestures need to be powerful. Your stance should be stable. there needs to be adequate volume and adequate projection, because at the end of the day, you want the camera time. And camera time is very, very limited in political debates. Being polite certainly goes a long way, but it doesn't exactly rouse the audience. Also, protesting is not a good thing to do. The lady does protest too much. I'm sure you've heard it before. People who protest usually seem more guilty than they might actually be. You obviously want to do your research, but it's also very important that you're actually listening to what your opponent has to say. But don't worry, we will dive deeper into these guidelines a little bit later on in this chapter. Talking about the topics of political debates, these are usually the issues that have been identified during the election campaign preparation. For example, in 2009, some of the issues that were identified were service delivery, crime, as well as a new political era. It seems, since the 2009 elections, that our party political leaders and candidates do not really want to engage in these debates. And I kind of understand why, because these debates are not there to solve anything. As I've already pointed out, they are there to showcase the image of the candidate, and it's got very little to do with the substance of the party or the substance of the candidate. It is more about showmanship. Maybe this is what our South African contemporary politicians have understood, and maybe that is why they have stepped away from these particular settings, these debate settings. Image is important in politics, but substance of a party and their track record and their manifesto and what they're trying to do is more important. See you next time. Bye.